This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to the SAU Report. I'm Amanda Weber.
And I'm Cory. Our guest today is Angelika Mikhailova. She's a professor from Moscow State Pedagogical University.
Well, how long have you been here?
It's my second visit to the United States. And well, at first I was hosted at Indiana University and I stayed there a whole year, but it was back in '95. But now I've been living here for 2 months and a half.
So it's been a while.
Yes, but time flies.
You're here for doing professor work and stuff. What do you think you will take away from this experience?
Oh, I think I'll take a lot experience from here. Well, first of all, the system of education in this university is very, very different from what we have at home. And secondly, I'll take best memories and lots of experience from my colleagues here.
Well, how did you hear about this opportunity to come to the United States again?
I know that my university, together with your university, have a special agreement, which has been on for 10 years already. So I'm the 10th professor who is being hosted here. And I've always knew that this program is very beneficial from both sides, and I was eager to participate in it.
How is everyday life different from when it was Soviet Union? Now it's to Russia. How's that different?
It's very different. First of all, I would never ever dream in my wild dreams to go to the United States when I lived back in the Soviet Union times. Well, secondly, we have a lot more freedom, and especially freedom of speech in my country nowadays. So it's very different in every little aspect of our life.
Would you encourage other professors from Russia to do this and for this opportunity to come to the United States?
Absolutely, because I've already said that it's very beneficial from both sides. So, and I think we are all privileged to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a language barrier? Was it hard? Was that hard to overcome?
No, not really. But well, you can hear that I'm speaking since sort of British English.
Right.
Well, and most of my colleagues speak the same way, and we teach our students to speak the same way. Well, once you're accustomed to this southern accent, there is no problem.
Does freedom of the press exist in Russia as we know it here?
Yes, it does. So you can get whatever newspapers, whatever magazines, lots of American magazines in Russia nowadays. Yeah, we're enjoying that.
What are the difference between Russian students and American students?
Oh, they are different. Well, I think because most of our students are very motivated since they've got to compete to get to a university at all. So they know exactly what they want to do. And they are not supposed to take subjects. They're given those subjects. And they know ahead what they will do next semester or next year. So from this perspective, they're more mature, I'll put it like this, than your students. And the system of exams is very, very different. I'd say that the system of our exams is, well, I'd call it milder, because you've got to go through very tough weeks with midterm exams.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. And our students are grouped. When they come to university, I've already said that they do not take subjects.
Mm-hmm.
They're given them, and they're fixed in groups. And they're supposed to be in those groups for 5 years of their university. So they become friends, they become enemies, but they are in the same group, so they have to get accustomed to each other.
So you say your English is more of a British accent. How long
Yes.
have you been working on your English?
Well, I started doing my English when I was in high school, because I wanted, or rather my parents wanted me to go to Moscow Pedagogical university English department. But I started thinking seriously about English phonetics before I started to do my dissertation, because my dissertation is on British English phonetics. So I try to be more precise with my pronunciation, with my diction. And I've been teaching, well, British English pronunciation for 10 years already.
It sounds like that you are studying the same thing as, you know, mass communications are studying with pronunciation and dictation. So we have a lot of things in common.
Especially your voice and diction class.
Right.
Yes.
That's what we also do.
You said the students compete.
Yes.
Like, what do they do to compete? Do they write an essay, or is it their grades are above, or their grades to get the previous school? How is it that they compete?
It's different, because you've been talking about the system that exists in this country. But since higher education in Russia is free, people can get to university for free. But every university is quite specialized. We have very few comprehensive universities. I think we have only 3 or 4 of them in Russia. So applicants have to take exams, mostly 4 exams, admissions exams.
Okay.
And they get prepared for those exams either through private tuition or in special pre-examination courses the university will offer. So they compete in this way.
Okay.
Do a lot of Russian students come to the States to go to the universities?
Your country seems to be a very prestigious one in terms of getting a higher education. Well, the richest of the rich would go to Yale or Harvard.
Right.
Yeah, but I know that it's 10,000 of Russians are being educated in the United States, first of all, and in Great Britain currently. Yeah.
Do you encourage it? Do you think it's a high honor, right, for students to come over here?
That's right.
So
we do encourage students. Oh yeah, yeah. We have the so-called open day at my university. So parents and their children and grandparents are most welcome. Well, it takes place in April. And question number 1 is, do you have exchange programs? And we are very proud to announce that we have a special exchange program with SAU. So, and I will say that the best students are sent there. So.
Well, so tell us a little bit about Moscow State Pedagogical University.
Our university is the biggest and the oldest pedagogical university in Russia. In fact, we became 130 years old on the 1st of November. We ranked number 1, and we're very proud of it. So we educate 14,000 students currently, and we have 18 faculties. You call them schools, but we call them faculties. So it's a very big place.
Is that what's the difference between a pedagogical university? Would that be it? Y'all's facilities? It's just.
Well, first of all, I've already said that we have 18 faculties with their own speciality, but also every student, no matter what faculty he/she attends, is supposed to have a special course of pedagogics, methods of teaching, and psychology. And besides, everybody goes and works at school as sort of a practice.
Okay.
Is the education system different in Russia than it is in the United States?
It's very different. First of all, you have to pay for your education, or you have to compete to get a scholarship.
Right.
We don't do that. And besides, well, I've already mentioned those midterm exams, and you have to choose subjects that you think might help you to get a good job later on. So our students don't do that. It's very, very different.
So when they go to school, they know that they want to be an architect, or if they want to be
Right. Though not everyone wants to be a teacher,
Right.
because teachers are heavily underpaid in my country. So mostly those who compete to get to my faculty are very motivated in terms of learning English.
So what are some of the differences between Russian and American professors?
Well, I think professors are professors and students are students. What I could figure out here is that we share the same problems, mostly. The same, well, research work, classroom instruction, speaking to students, grading the students, dealing with students. It's more or less the same. Those who love this profession, well, they do. They do love it.
So what do you teach at Moscow State Pedagogical University?
Well, I teach British English pronunciation.
Okay.
What are the differences between Moscow State Pedagogical University and SAU, other than the size? But
Well, your university is a comprehensive one. You have lots of schools.
right.
So we are focused on pedagogics, mostly.
How'd you become a college professor?
When I was a student, I never ever thought of becoming a teacher at all. So, but later on, when I had graduated, I tried to do something else. I worked for the Ministry of Foreign Trade, but I didn't like it because it was sort of a, secretary job, so which was not very motivating. And all of a sudden, I received a call from my university, from my alma mater, and they suggested that I go and at least have a try. So I took that chance, and I've never regretted it.
So how long have you been teaching?
It's over 2 decades already, so yeah, I feel a veteran of my faculty already. Yeah.
So what are the most achieved degree that people go for at Moscow State Pedagogical University?
I know that my faculty is very popular because, we try to give our students good skills in the foreign languages. Besides English, we have a special school of German, Spanish, and French. And our students are supposed to take a second language as well. Let's say, those who major in English take either German or French. What was the question?
What's the most the common degree that they go for?
So, but we have a very powerful school of sociology as well, and people who go there take up management because management is a very prestigious profession nowadays, together with accounting, foreign languages.
Right.
Yeah.
As a lot of people know, you've been doing lectures here on campus. Have they been well attended?
Yes, they were. I'm very grateful to those who attended my lectures. I can say that every time the room was full of people, and I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed answering their questions. I could feel that warmth and the genuine interest. So I like that. I appreciate that at all.
What were some of the topics that you addressed in your lectures? There were a couple of them, right?
Actually, I gave 5 lectures, and the topics were middle class in Russia, women in Russia, my home university, then Moscow, because Moscow is my hometown, so I'm a born Muscovite, and who are the Russians.
Well, what is different? You said that you did a lecture on women in Russia. What's the difference between the women in Russia and women in the States?
I think Russian women have more problems. To us, you seemed to be very feministic. We still live in a male-dominating society, so we can feel that every day. I focused on abuse in my country, domestic problems that women face, and then I spoke a little bit about the 2 parties ruled by women.
Are women, trying to climb? Are they getting jobs and stuff so they get out of the male-dominated?
They do get jobs, but I can say that women nowadays, now that we're living in a free market society, they're being squeezed off from most prestigious jobs.
Well, since you've been here, did you say 2.5 months?
Yes.
You've been here this last time.
Yeah.
Are you looking? I understand you're going home Sunday. So are you looking forward to it?
Oh, it's a bittersweet feeling because I've made so many friends here. It's very hard to say goodbye. I do not say farewell because I hope that I will see them in Moscow. Well, but, you know, my family is waiting for me as well, so I'm very anxious to see them.
Oh, I bet.
You mentioned family, so have you been keeping in touch with them lately?
Yes, oh yeah.
How has that been going?
My husband and I talk on telephone every morning for no less than 30 minutes.
So you're keeping in touch. Very good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm well informed.
Huh? What is the one thing about the United States that you will miss the most?
I think it's my friends. Because, well, you know, when you go to a country, the first impression that you have is not the museums, maybe, not the big towns, but people
That's
that you
right.
meet. And everything depends on those who you meet. Either you like the country or you dislike it. And I love the United States because everyone who I meet here, well, is wonderful. So I'm going to miss my friends. Well, they know who I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've traveled quite a bit too and realized that I've been to other places and it's really depended on who I met.
Right.
I made a trip this summer. I was there for a month, and I didn't know anybody. But when I got there, I started meeting people, and it was the best trip I ever made. And I wouldn't give it away for anything.
Right. My life here is beyond any expectations. I even didn't know what to expect. So, but I never thought that I would be made so much at home here. I appreciate it.
That's good. Well, why did you come to the United States?
We have this program, a special exchange program between SAU and Moscow State Pedagogical University. So every year, well, a professor from my university goes to the United States, and a professor from this university goes to Moscow to stay with us.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting program and a very beneficial one.
What would you say be the most memorable thing that's happened to you since you came to the United States?
I think that every day here is a memorable one.
Really?
Yeah, because life has been so very exciting here, and life has been treating me so very well. So I'll try to remember everything and everybody here.
Have you been taking a lot of pictures to carry back with you to Moscow?
I think I've taken no less than 200 pictures.
So it's been quite a bit. Wow.
Right, yeah.
Have you had a chance to travel since you've been here?
Yes, I have. So I've been to New Orleans, Lafayette, which is a very special place, special New Orleans. Then I went to Natchez, Vicksburg, so it's part of your history. Then, well, Shreveport, Little Rock, well, and I explored some places in Arkansas, like national parks.
That's a lot of traveling for a 2.5 month
yeah,
period.
yeah.
So
I tried
wow.
not to waste my time.
Best
And
way.
people have been so kind to me. They always took me to trips somewhere.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious. You said you came here in 1995 as well. What was your first impressions of the United States at that point in time?
Well, actually, I didn't know what to expect. And when I was leaving Moscow and headed to the United States for the first time, I had a mixture of feelings, because before that, the stories that I had heard were not very complimentary. And but once I found myself in Indiana, in Bloomington campus, I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with this country, because people were so very hospitable, so very warm-hearted, very intellectual. It's very different from what I had heard before. So, and when I was back to Moscow in '95, I, well, got lots of stories to tell to my friends and to my students. So, and I'm going to, I think, to pepper them with my stories again, because, well, life in the South is very different from what I experienced before. Yeah.
We just had the elections here
Yes.
in the States. Are the politics different in Russia than it is in the United States?
I think that politics is a very hard game first of all, and your politicians have to go through lots of difficulties, like in my country. But you seem to have only two parties, two major parties. We have a lot of them, so one can get lost in the names of them. What seemed a little bit strange to me was that television issued lots of commercials. Shall I call it splitting mud on this or that politician?
Right, yes.
Which was quite unexpected for me. We never do that. I don't know why, because we are learning from you. Maybe when I get back to Russia, they're going to do it
just that,
as well. Yeah, but that was strange. Though I was present at one of the election, what do you call it? When people tried those new touch screen devices.
Oh, going to the polls to
Yes,
vote.
that's right. So I was present at one of those polls.
Oh.
And I felt very much at home.
Really?
Though we have an old-fashioned system of putting down, ticking down the names and then putting out those papers in a special urn.
Right.
But the procedure is more or less the same.
What are some differences in like the food? How about?
It's different. And everyone says that food, eating and drinking in Russia is a test of character. But I'd say that eating here is also a test of character, because the portions of food that I've been served here have always been enormous. You know? And the food is so very delicious that I hated to leave anything on the
That's
plate.
right. You have to eat it all.
I know. I'm afraid I have gained a lot of weight here.
So, what are the differences in the culture?
Well, lifestyle in your country and my country are very, very different. So it is very hard to compare both. When I was back to Russia in '95, people started asking me to compare the American way of living and ours. And my response to that was always like this. It's the same as comparing life on Earth and life on Mars. We're very different in every little aspect of our life.
Are people interested in, like, in the United States, like, are Russians like interested in what's happening in the United States? I know some Americans are interested, but you don't get as much news coverage as you would like. Do you get?
We're very interested in what's going on in your country. We always look upon as, well, our brother. We used to be enemies, but not anymore,
Right.
fortunately. So we are seeking your embrace, actually, and we're very, very interested in your life and in your politics, by all means.
Speaking of the differences in lifestyles in Russia and in America, what would you say would be more of the high-paying jobs in Russia than America?
It's hard to say what's going on in America for me because, well, you know, I haven't been exposed to this part of American life. But I'd say that the most prestigious jobs that a Russian can ever think of, can ever dream of, are the jobs associated with oil and gas, timber production, something like
As
this.
it is in every country.
Yeah.
It's where the money is.
That's right. So people pump money out of those professions.
That's right.
Jobs.
It's the same thing around here in the South. I know a lot of people that their families are rich because of oil or something that they found in the ground that they bought the land on and they had for quite a while.
Yes.
Here's one. What's the living differences between America and Russia? Like, we live in houses here, and
It's also very different. First of all, Russians are not mobile. We are born, let's say I was born in Moscow, and I do not intend to leave Moscow. St. Petersburgians, who are very proud of their city, will always live there. But you seem to be more mobile. You, being 16 or 18, tend to leave your families and move somewhere else to get an education somewhere else. I would say that you are the nation that was born with the wheel in your hands, you know. It's very different. Besides, most of us live in high-rise houses. We live in apartments rather than houses themselves.
So it is different.
Yeah, it's very different.
Well, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Mikhailova, for showing up for our show today.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for watching.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.